Makoto is an ugly, disgusting high school student who often feels like a nobody. One day, while taking train home from school, he spots a beautiful girl named Kotonoha. He remembers seeing Kotonoha around school and feels an instant connection. Captivated by her beauty, he impulsively snaps a secret picture of her and sets it as his phone wallpaper, hoping it will somehow bring them closer. A few days later, Makoto's classmate Sekai, who is well known for her friendliness and popularity, notices Kotonoha's picture on his phone. Curious, she confronts Makoto about it. At first, he denies having any feelings for Kotonoha, but under Sekai's persistent and warm-hearted questioning, he eventually confesses. During lunch break, Sekai takes Makoto up to the school roof for a private chat. She reveals that she has recently become friends with Kotonoha and offers to help Makoto get to know her better. Makoto, surprised and touched by Sekai's kindness, asks why she would go out of her way to help him. With a smile, Sekai explains that she enjoys bringing people together and making new friends. She assures Makoto that she genuinely wants to help him and Kotonoha connect. Makoto, feeling hopeful for the first time in a while, accepts her offer, and thus Sekai befriends Makoto. The next morning during class, Sekai shares with Makoto some insights about Kotonoha's likes and habits. She tells him that Kotonoha is a simple and innocent girl who hasn't made any friends at school yet. Sekai also reveals that she has planned for the three of them to have lunch together that day. Makoto feels shy about meeting Kotonoha, but Sekai insists and takes him along. On the school rooftop, they find Kotonoha waiting for them. Despite his embarrassment, Makoto is determined to make a good impression. Kotonoha, ever kind and gentle, shares sandwiches she made herself, which unfortunately don't taste very good. Eager to impress her, Makoto quickly starts eating the sandwiches but ends up choking. Kotonoha, concerned, offers him some tea, which helps him recover. After everything settles down, Sekai excuses herself, claiming she needs to use the bathroom, leaving Makoto and Kotonoha alone. At first, Makoto is extremely nervous, but he gradually starts to open up and talk to her. They discover they have more in common than they thought, and by the end of lunch, they are well on their way to becoming friends. That night, Makoto calls Sekai to thank her for her help. He excitedly tells her that he plans to express his feelings to Kotonoha the next day. Sekai supports his decision and encourages him to be honest and sincere. The next day, Makoto waits anxiously for Kotonoha at the train station. As soon as Kotonoha arrives, he gathers his courage and confesses his feelings to her. To his delight, Kotonoha smiles and accepts his love. Later at school, Sekai meets up with Kotonoha, who excitedly shares what happened at the station. Sekai is overjoyed and fully supports their new relationship. Kotonoha admits that she already liked Makoto and had often noticed him on the train. She is grateful to Sekai, knowing that it was her efforts that brought them together. That evening, while Makoto is waiting for Kotonoha at the station, Sekai shows up. Curious, Makoto asks why she has been so invested in helping him and Kotonoha. Sekai playfully responds that she did it just for fun. But Makoto, feeling deeply grateful, insists that he owes her for all her help. In an unexpected turn, Sekai suddenly kisses Makoto and then leaves on her train without saying a word. As the train pulls away, a hint of sadness appears on Sekai's face. The next day, Makoto takes Kotonoha out on a date. However, once they're out, Makoto gets caught up in doing his favorite activities and pays little attention to Kotonoha. As they head back home, Makoto awkwardly attempts to kiss Kotonoha at the station. Surprised and a bit scared by his sudden move, Kotonoha pulls back, and the train starts moving, preventing the kiss from happening. The following day, Makoto arrives at school and recounts the events of the date to Sekai. Hearing about how the date went, Sekai gets frustrated and starts shouting at Makoto, telling him he doesn't understand women's feelings at all. Makoto, feeling defensive, says he's trying to understand, but he's also confused about the kiss Sekai gave him. Sekai, trying to clear things up, explains that the kiss was simply a way to say goodbye and didn't mean anything more. Sekai, seeing Makoto's confusion and wanting to help, gives him 2 movie tickets. She advises him to take Kotonoha to see a romantic movie and suggests that when the moment feels right, he should hold Kotonoha's hand and give her a strong kiss. Makoto, grateful for the advice, takes the tickets. That night, Makoto prepares for his next date with Kotonoha by reading a romantic book. He's excited about the prospect of kissing Kotonoha and spends the night eagerly preparing, hoping everything will go perfectly. The next day, Makoto takes Kotonoha to the movies. Although Kotonoha had wanted to see a zombie movie, Makoto doesn't ask her preference and chooses a romantic movie instead. Kotonoha, initially uninterested, begins to pay attention when the main characters start romancing each other. Makoto, sitting beside her, notices Kotonoha is engrossed in the movie. Seeing this as his opportunity, he suddenly holds Kotonoha's hand, startling her. Emboldened, Makoto attempts to kiss her, but Kotonoha, nervous and caught off guard, slaps him. Both of them leave the theater and sit outside in silence for an hour. Finally, Makoto explains that it was Sekai who suggested the idea and gave him the movie tickets. This makes Kotonoha think that Sekai and Makoto are very close friends. They then board the train to head home. As soon as Kotonoha's station approaches, she apologizes to Makoto and quickly leaves the train, leaving him feeling confused and regretful. The following day, Makoto recounts everything that happened to Sekai. Sekai is furious and explains that Kotonoha is a shy girl who needs time and understanding. She advises Makoto to apologize sincerely and not rush things. Makoto agrees to make things right with Kotonoha. Later, during lunch break, Makoto heads to Kotonoha's class to apologize but encounters Katu, his childhood friend and Kotonoha's classmate. Katu engages Makoto in a long conversation, and as a result, Makoto misses the chance to speak with Kotonoha before the break ends. After school, Makoto rushes to meet Kotonoha. He finds her near the stairs and apologizes for his previous actions, promising he won't repeat them. Kotonoha, unsure of how to respond, quickly heads to an extra class without saying much. Makoto, determined to make amends, tells Kotonoha he will wait for her at the station and will stay there until she arrives. Sekai, who overhears Makoto and Kotonoha's conversation, follows Kotonoha as she tries to take the bus home instead of going to the station. Sekai talks to Kotonoha, urging her not to ignore Makoto, who is still waiting at the station despite everything. Kotonoha admits that she does like Makoto, but feels scared when anyone tries to touch her. Sekai reassures Kotonoha that, as a couple, they need to respect each other's feelings. She explains that while Makoto may be eager to express his affection, he's controlling his desires out of respect for her boundaries. Sekai adds that if it were someone else, the situation might be very different. Kotonoha, realizing Sekai understands Makoto well, asks if Sekai herself has feelings for Makoto, but Sekai remains silent. Feeling a mix of emotions, Kotonoha rushes to the station to meet Makoto. When she arrives, Makoto is still there, waiting for her. He promises that he will never try to touch her without her consent again. Kotonoha, touched by his sincerity, agrees to try and understand him better. In a gesture of reconciliation, Kotonoha kisses Makoto, signaling a fresh start for their relationship. The next day, Makoto calls Kotonoha's house, but her younger sister, Kokoro, answers the phone and quickly figures out that Makoto is Kotonoha's boyfriend. During lunch break, when Kotonoha, Makoto, and Sekai meet on the terrace, Kotonoha mentions that Kokoro wants to meet him. Seizing the opportunity, Makoto invites himself to Kotonoha's house. Sekai, disapproving of Makoto's impulsiveness, scolds him while Kotonoha watches them both carefully. Later, when Kotonoha and Makoto meet at the station, Kotonoha's classmate Hikari sees them together. As they board the train, Hikari keeps an eye on them. Sensing Kotonoha is upset about something, Makoto gently takes her in his arms. As soon as they reach their stop, Kotonoha quickly leaves his embrace and exits the train. Makoto tries to say goodbye, but Kotonoha doesn't look back, leaving him feeling sad. Hikari, having witnessed the scene, texts Sekai, thinking Makoto and Sekai are in a relationship. Sekai clarifies that Makoto is not her boyfriend, and then calls him, reprimanding him for hugging Kotonoha in public. She explains that if he wants a physical relationship with Kotonoha, he needs to wait for the right time and respect her feelings, likes, and dislikes. After thoroughly scolding him, Sekai advises Makoto to apologize to Kotonoha. Realizing his mistake, Makoto resolves to apologize to Kotonoha the next day. The next day, Makoto goes to school, determined to apologize to Kotonoha. However, when the train stops at Kotonoha's station, she is nowhere to be seen, as she has taken the bus to avoid him. Makoto feels disheartened and tells Sekai about his failed attempt. Sekai advises him to go to Kotonoha's class immediately, but by then, her classes have already started. During lunch break, Makoto asks Sekai to accompany him to the terrace to meet Kotonoha, but Sekai declines, feeling that her presence might undermine Makoto's apology. She heads off to have lunch with her friend instead. Makoto runs to the terrace, but Kodonoha isn't there. She is lost in deep thoughts in her class, but eventually picks up her lunchbox and heads to the terrace. They finally meet and sit down to have lunch together. Makoto nervously asks if Kodonoha is angry with him for hugging her. Kodonoha reassures him that she is not angry, which lifts a weight off Makoto's mind. He then asks if he can come to her house to meet Kokoro, and Kodonoha invites him over on Sunday. Makoto is overjoyed by her response. The next day, Makoto arrives at Kodonoha's house, dressed up and eager to make a good impression. Kokoro and Kodonoha welcome him at the door. Makoto spends the day playing with Kokoro, enjoying the time spent with Kodonoha's family. During tea time in the evening, Kokoro curiously asks Makoto why he calls Kodonoha by her last name despite being her boyfriend. This question makes Kodonoha look away in disappointment. Kodonoha walks Makoto to the station. On the way, Makoto asks if it bothers her when he calls her by her last name. Kodonoha admits that she doesn't like it. They agree to start calling each other by their first names, and Kodonoha is delighted. While waiting for the train, Kodonoha asks Makoto to close his eyes. Makoto anticipates a kiss on the lips, but is surprised when Kodonoha kisses him on the cheek instead, leaving him disappointed. The next day, Makoto meets Sekai on a roof and tells her about the previous day's events. He confesses that he isn't enjoying his relationship with Kodonoha and feels unsatisfied. Sekai advises him to be patient, then leaves to have lunch with her friends, giving Makoto and Kodonoha some time alone on the roof. Makoto starts kissing Kodonoha, but when he tries to touch her, Kodonoha becomes very nervous and excuses herself, saying she has to get to class. After reaching home, Kodonoha calls Sekai and tells her everything that happened. Sekai, angry, promises to scold Makoto, but Kodonoha asks her not to. She confesses that she feels inadequate for not being able to give Makoto the affection he desires. Sekai then asks Kodonoha if she ever envisions having a physical relationship with Makoto. Kodonoha admits she does but has dreamed of it happening in a special, romantic setting, like making passionate love in a cozy hotel room in a cold European town. Sekai realizes that Kodonoha is a very innocent girl who has fallen deeply in love. The next day, when Kodonoha meets Makoto on the train, she wants to invite him to a water park. However, Makoto accidentally touches her, and though Kodonoha doesn't mind, Makoto is still upset. Because of this tension, Kodonoha doesn't feel comfortable asking him to go to the water park with her. Hikari sees Kodonoha and Makoto on the train and later tells Sekai everything. Sekai tries to question Makoto about his relationship with Kodonoha, but he seems uninterested in talking. Eventually, Sekai takes him outside the class. Makoto admits that while he has kissed Kodonoha and held her hand, she isn't allowing him to go further, which frustrates him because he doesn't know how to advance their physical relationship. Sekai suggests that he practice how to proceed with her. To practice, Sekai takes Makoto to a park. They find a secluded spot and attempt to kiss, but people around them notice, and they have to stop. Then Sekai takes Makoto to a karaoke room, but there is a camera installed, preventing them from practicing there as well. Sekai then remembers that school is over, and she has the keys to the rooftop. She brings Makoto with her to the school rooftop. It is evening, and the school rooftop is deserted except for Makoto and Sekai. Sekai asks Makoto to whisper something sweet in her ear, and Makoto tells her that he is falling in love with her. Sekai is thrilled to hear this. She then asks Makoto to hug her. Makoto expresses his desire to touch her, and Sekai allows him to do so. Makoto gets very excited after touching Sekai and makes her lie down on the bench. Initially, Sekai tries to stop him, but then lets him touch her body. Afterward, they start heading home. Makoto expresses a desire to practice more with Sekai, but she refuses, insisting that he should save those experiences for Kodonoha. They go their separate ways, and a little further along, Makoto meets Kodonoha. She apologizes for her behavior that morning and asks Makoto to go with her to the water park. Makoto agrees, but he's not happy about it. Later, Makoto learns that Sekai's friends are also going to the water park that day, and Hikari wants Makoto to bring his friend Sawanaga along, so she gives him 2 additional tickets. Makoto feels relieved knowing he won't have to go to the water park alone with Kodonoha. On Sunday, Makoto brings Sawanaga with him to the water park, where all the girls, including Kodonoha and Sekai, are also present. Kodonoha wants to spend time with Makoto and asks him to teach her how to swim. Although Makoto doesn't want to spend time with Kodonoha, he can't refuse her. As he teaches her to swim, his face shows sadness. Suddenly, Konoha slips and hugs Makoto tightly. Makoto also hugs her tightly, and a smile spreads across his face, but Sekai feels sad seeing them together. Later, Sekai meets Makoto and tells him she saw him and Konoha in the pool. She thinks the improvement in their relationship is the result of their practice. Makoto, hearing this, expresses his desire to practice more with Sekai, but she insists he should continue practicing with Konoha. Makoto gets irritated because he is now interested in having a physical relationship with Sekai. He tries to tell Sekai that he has started liking her, but Sekai interrupts him. Just then, they see Konoha approaching, and they stop talking. Everyone sits down to eat in the cafeteria. Konoha happily announces that she and Makoto love each other, but Makoto is not happy at all, and Sekai looks very angry. The rest of their friends are skeptical, thinking that Makoto loves Sekai because they always talk to each other. Sekai clarifies that she was the one who helped Makoto and Konoha get closer. Later, after changing her clothes, Konoha joins Makoto in Sawanaga and invites Makoto to her house next Sunday. Makoto reluctantly agrees. Sekai, noticing Makoto's sad face, takes him aside to talk. When Sekai asks Makoto about his strange behavior, Makoto confesses that he no longer likes Konoha but still wants to have a relationship with her. Sekai refuses, reminding him that he is still Konoha's boyfriend. Then they all go to their respective homes. Makoto drops Konoha off at her station and then waits for his train. Makoto starts missing Sekai so much that he misses his train. On that rainy night, he heads towards Sekai's house, messaging her repeatedly. Sekai suggests he go back to Konoha, but Makoto refuses. When he arrives at the station, Sekai is waiting for him with an umbrella. As soon as he sees her, Makoto hugs Sekai. Sekai insists that he should return to Konoha, but Makoto confesses his love for her and apologizes for previously loving Konoha. Sekai forgives him, and they begin kissing. Later that night, Sekai brings Makoto to her room, where they are alone. Makoto and Sekai complete the rest of their practice together, developing a physical relationship that night. What will happen next? Will Konoha discover their relationship? And if she does, what will she do? Find out in the next part, with the link available in the comments.